The Zefkar Armada had spent exactly 107 Earth years preparing for this moment. Their War Council had analyzed every transmission, every satellite broadcast, every fragment of human culture that had leaked into the cosmos. They had built weapons specifically designed to counter human technology, ships reinforced against primitive nuclear arsenals, and psychological profiles to exploit humanity's documented weakness, their emotional attachments. Commander Vexither stood on the bridge of the flagship Eternal Dominion, his four eyes gleaming with confidence. "Deploy the invasion force," he commanded, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into perfect military cadence. 3,000 warships materialized above Earth's atmosphere, blotting out the sun across entire continents. On Earth, Dr. Sarah Chen looked up from her workstation at the Orbital Defense Initiative headquarters buried Ben. At the Colorado Rockies, the screens had gone insane with proximity alerts. "Leo," she shouted across the command center. "Tell me those are ours." Captain Leo Martinez was already at his station, his fingers dancing across holographic displays. His face had gone pale. Negative. Unknown signatures. Thousands of them. He pulled up the tactical display. "Sarah, their information. This is an invasion." Sarah's mind raced. She'd spent 15 years developing Earth's defense systems, but they'd always been theoretical exercises, deterrence. No one actually expected. "Incoming transmission," the communications officer announced. Vexither's face appeared on every screen worldwide. "Humans of Earth," he began, his translator smooth and condescending. "We are the Zefkar Collective. We have studied you for a century. We know your weapons are crude. We know your divisions make you weak. We know your attachment to individual lives makes you hesitant. Surrender now, and your deaths will be swift." Leo looked at Sarah. In her eyes, he saw what he felt in his own chest, not fear, but something the Zefkar hadn't accounted for. Rage. "Sarah," Leo said quietly, "tell me Project Prometheus is operational." Sarah's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "It's been operational for 3 years, Leo. We just never told anyone because the UN thought it was too provocative." She turned to her team. "Activate Prometheus protocol. Authorization Chen 77 Alpha." "Sarah, what is Prometheus?" The president's voice crackled through the emergency channel. "Something we built after the Zefkar-S scout probe visited us in 2119. "Mr. President," Sarah replied, her fingers already entering launch codes. "When they thought we didn't notice. The Zefkar had made their first mistake a century ago. They assumed humanity's radio broadcasts represented the totality of human capability. They'd missed the quiet investments, the black budget projects, the human tendency to prepare for threats no one else believed in." "Zefkar fleet is moving into bombardment position," Leo reported. "We have maybe for minutes before they're in range of population centers." "They won't need for minutes," Sarah said. She pressed the final key. "In orbit, scattered among what appeared to be defunct satellites and space debris. 300 dormant platforms awakened." The Zefkar sensors, calibrated for active threats, had dismissed them as junk. Another mistake. The platforms weren't nuclear. They weren't kinetic. They were something the Zefkar-S century of preparation hadn't anticipated, because humanity had only developed it in the last 20 years. Quantum displacement cannons that didn't just destroy matter, they erased it from probability itself. "Firing," Sarah whispered. "The Prometheus platforms didn't emit light or sound. They simply made 300 Zefkar ships cease to exist. Not explode, not fragment, just stop being." On the flagship, Vexither's confidence evaporated. "What, how? Our shields should have. Their shields work on conventional physics," Leo explained to the command center, watching his displays with grim satisfaction. "Prometheus doesn't play by those rules." The Zefkar fleet scattered, abandoning formation. They'd prepared for human desperation, for nuclear retaliation, for chemical weapons. They hadn't prepared for weapons that bypassed the laws of physics as they understood them. "They're trying to retreat," Leo reported. "Lock all remaining platforms on their command ship," Sarah ordered. Her voice was ice. Vexither watched his fleet dissolve around him. In 6 minutes, 3,000 ships had been reduced to fewer than 200. His tactical officer was screaming something about impossible energy signatures, about weapons that shouldn't exist. Retreat. Vexither finally commanded. Full dimensional shift. Abandon the attack. But Sarah had learned something from studying the Zefkar's scout probe. Their dimensional drive needed 30 seconds to charge. Prometheus platforms only needed 3. The Eternal Dominion flickered and vanished. Then another ship. Then 50 more. The remaining Zefkar vessels that managed to jump did so in complete disarray. Their century of preparation shattered in less time than it took to brew coffee. Silence filled the command center. Slowly, cheers began to erupt. Leo walked over to Sarah, who was staring at her screens with trembling hands. "You knew," he said softly, "when they sent that probe. You knew they'd come." "I suspected," Sarah replied. "And I learned something from history, Leo. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our weapons. It's that we're paranoid enough to build them before we need them, and ruthless enough to use them when we must." On a Zefkar colony world, Vexither faced the collective council. He was a broken commander, his eyes dim with shame. "Explain," the council overseer demanded. "We prepared for the humans we observed," Vexither said quietly. "We didn't prepare for what they became while we were watching. They knew we were coming. They've known for a century. And they spent that time not broadcasting their true capabilities. They spent it building a trap. A trap. They let us think we understood them," Vexither continued. "They let us believe their weakness was emotion, attachment, division. But those weren't weaknesses. Those were motivations. Every human fighting to protect their family, their home, their species. We thought that made them irrational. Instead, it made them absolutely focused." The council was silent, and the most terrifying thing, Vexither finished, is that the weapons they used, they built them years ago. Which means what they're building now, we can't even imagine. Back on Earth, Sarah and Leo stood outside the command center, watching the sun set over the mountains. The crisis was over. Humanity had survived. The Zefkar prepared for a century, Leo said. Sarah nodded. "And they lasted 6 minutes." She looked at him. "But they'll tell others, Leo. Word will spread." "Good," Leo replied, a hard edge to his voice. "Let them know. Humanity doesn't start fights, but we sure as hell finish them, above them." The Prometheus platforms remained in orbit, silent, watching, ready, because humanity had learned the most important lesson in the cosmos. It's not the fight you prepare for that matters. It's the one you prepare for that never comes until it does. And when it comes, you make damn sure it's over in 6 minutes. The end.